Floodlight security cameras. I'm talking about security cameras that have floodlights built onto them, just like a floodlight you'd buy at Lowe's or Home Depot for your backyard to light that sucker up. In my experience, cameras that have floodlights on them usually absolutely suck. There was one exception to that. It was the Google Nest floodlight camera, but that thing at this point is an antique. So I've been looking for a better option and a newer option. Well, today we're trying one from Reolink. We're trying the Elite Floodlight Wi-Fi. Does it suck? Let's find out. What up, everybody? George Langabeer here. Today we are talking about the Reolink Elite Floodlight Wi-Fi, and it is a security camera with built-in floodlights. Now, when it comes to security cameras and trying to achieve color night vision, there's two main ways to do that. You've got spotlight cameras and you've got floodlight cameras. Spotlight cameras just have little white lights that are meant to be spotlights to light up an area and then help achieve that color night vision. Floodlight cameras take it one step further, and they have actual built-in floodlights. We're talking about floodlights like you'd buy at Lowe's or Home Depot to light up your entire yard. So they're not only meant to help with color night vision, but they're also meant to light up your yard. But I find that most of the time, the floodlights on these cameras suck. There was one exception, the Google Nest camera, and that thing is ancient at this point. So I've been looking for a new option. I want to thank Reolink for sending me the Elite Floodlight Wi-Fi, and I want to thank them for sponsoring this video. But as usual, sponsored or not, I promise you, I'm going to tell you like it is. Now with this camera, I'm going to unbox it. I'm going to talk about setup and install. I'm going to talk price and specs. I'm going to talk the Reolink app, and I'm going to give you my full review, pros and cons, unbiased, as always. So let's start with the unboxing. All right, let's unbox the Reolink Elite Floodlight Wi-Fi. Open up the box, you have your documentation, including your operational instructions. Another documentation card here. You've got your Reolink 24/7 video surveillance window decal. You've got your warm tips. Then you've got the camera itself. So you can see that it's got the built-in floodlights. You've got your dual lenses. Again, this is a 180-degree dual lens camera. Feels pretty premium and well made. And you've got your electrical wires there because this is going to replace an existing electrical fixture. Then you've got this box, comes with some screws, and then you've got some plugs to cover the screw holes to make it a little more weatherproof. You've got a USB-C to USB-A cable. You can use this cable to set up the camera inside. That way it's a little closer to your router when you set it up. You've got this wrench. You've got that plate for your electrical fixture. Goes right there. So you're gonna have your junction box for that old electrical fixture. You can use that there, but there you go. All right, now that we've unboxed, let's talk about setup and installation. Setup, you're gonna get yourself the Reolink app. You're gonna sign up for an account if you haven't already, and then you're gonna add a device. Now, my advice to you is to set up this camera inside with the included cable that came in the box and do it somewhere near your router and then install it outside when you're done. But as far as setup, you're gonna scan the QR code, then the app walks you through it step by step. You can have that done in under 5 minutes. Installation, this camera is meant to replace an existing light fixture outside your house. Now, Reolink was nice enough to send me a special power supply because I don't have a light fixture like that because I live in an apartment. But in theory, again, this is meant to replace an existing light fixture. So for installation, you're gonna take your old light fixture down, you're gonna put this one up, you're gonna connect the electrical wiring, and then you're gonna put up a couple screws and you're done. And then you test the features in the app, make sure everything looks good, and you're off to the races. All right, moving on to price and specs. This camera is normally $219.99. Look in the description of this video for the affiliate links if you're interested in purchasing and maybe any possible sales. Specs, we've got 4K resolution, which equates to 8 megapixels, and that's 20 frames per second. We've got a 180-degree ultra wide angle view, and that is 180 degrees horizontal and 59 degrees vertical. Again, this camera is wired, meaning that it's using your existing electrical, so keep that in mind. The floodlight has 3000 lumen dimmable lighting. You can also adjust the color temperature, and you can go up to 3000K warm or 6000K cool. You've got local AI video search, which is currently in beta, but it's pretty sweet. You can just put in a search term, like if you're looking for a person or a vehicle or an animal, or even the color of clothing, and it'll bring up all the results of that particular term. You've got local storage, which means no monthly fees, which is awesome. And that's using a micro SD card up to 512 gigs. This camera is dual band using Wi-Fi 6 as far as Wi-Fi. It has an IP66 weather rating, which is rated 14 degrees up to 131 degrees. This camera has two different types of night vision. You've got the floodlights, which gives you up to 40 feet of color night vision. And then you've got black and white IR night vision, which is up to 100 feet. Now, while we're talking about this night vision, I'm going to give you a quick demo. So let's look at the floodlight footage. This is using the floodlights out on my terrace. Now, keep in mind, I do have the city lights in the background, but the surrounding area in my terrace is pitch black. So where the camera is and where I'm at is pitch black. So here it is with the floodlights, and then you can see it with the black and white IR. And again, I've just got those lights off in the distance, but everything around is pitch black. And then let's look at the third option where you're not using the floodlights or the IR, you're just using the camera normally. So you could pull this off if you've got street lights or anything else around that's giving you natural ambient light, but otherwise I would use the floodlights or the IR. All right, now I'm going to give you a little different view. I'm taking the camera that I film on, putting it on a tripod, and I've got it off to the right of the security camera about 5 feet, and I'm just taking that camera and looking at my terrace. And you're going to see how much the floodlights of the security camera lights up the area. I think it's just nice to see this from a different type of lens than other than just the security camera's lens. So here's that little demo. All right, you've got multiple lighting modes when it comes to that floodlight. You can set it to leave it on, you can set it to come on when there's motion, or you can do a dusk till dawn schedule with the floodlight. This camera has smart detection, which is animals, people, and vehicles. You've also got perimeter protection with this camera, with things like line crossing alerts. So you draw an imaginary line, and anytime something crosses that line, you'd be alerted. You can do zone intrusion alerts. And you can also do zone loitering alerts. So if somebody's just sticking around in an area too long, you can be alerted. You can do motion triggered recording, you can do schedule recording, or you can do 24/7 recording with this camera. It has a 105 decibel siren. You get real-time notifications with everything I just talked about as far as detection goes. This camera is compatible with Reolink's NVR, their Home Hub, and their Home Hub Pro. It supports RTSP and ONVIF. It also does FTP, and you can use it with your NAS server. The camera has two-way audio. Take a listen.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. How do I sound? How's the clarity? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
As far as smart home compatibility, it's compatible with Google Home. Now with all my Reolink cameras, I actually have them in Apple Home using the Starling Home Hub. I've done a video on that before. Check it out. And if you've watched any of my videos on Reolink, you know one of my favorite features of theirs is the time-lapse feature. I just love, love, love that feature, and this camera is no different. So you can set it at sunset or sunrise, or you can do a custom time. You can watch the clouds, you can do whatever you want. Different intervals of time, all sorts of cool things you can do with that time-lapse feature. All right, that's price and specs. Let's talk about using this camera with the Reolink app. All right, so here you go. You can see the camera in the app. You can see the live image. Right below that, I can pause the video. I can toggle on and off the microphone. I can take a still picture. I can take a video clip. I can control the fluency of the resolution. You got high or fluent, and then I could also go full screen if I wanted. Down at the bottom, I could talk to the camera, and I could also go to playback. If I go to playback, you can pause the image, you can play it, you can do the audio again, take a still picture, take a video clip. You've got the resolution, you've got full screen. Down below, you have all your different clips, and you can scrub through that. You've got your timeline. You can change the date right here in the middle. You can also download some footage in the top right. Bottom left, you can filter out the different types of detection. You've got any motion, person, vehicle, animal, line crossing, zone intrusion alert, zone loitering alert. So that's playback. On the top right, you can activate your audio alarm or your siren. You can turn on the spotlight manually, and then you've also got your settings. The top, you've got your main settings for the camera. That's where you can do your firmware update and such. Then you've got your Wi-Fi information. You've got your display information. You've got stream, anti-flicker, day and night. So that's your color night vision. You've got your brightness. You've got the camera name and where you want it on the screen. You've got the date and where you want that on the screen. You can turn off the watermark. You can create a privacy mask. You've got your advanced settings. This is where you can do the image stitching. Because this is a 180 camera, there is a line between the two lenses on this camera that does form a little line, but you can adjust that with the image stitching. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in the pros and cons. You can control your brightness and shadows. Sounds, you can toggle on and off recording audio. You've got the volume of the speaker of the camera, and you've got noise reduction. Light, this is where you've got different options with the floodlight. You've got the status LED, you can turn that on and off. You've got close, where the status LEDs remain off, or you've got enable, where they remain on. Floodlight, you've got a couple different options here. You've got close, auto mode, always on at night, or timer mode. Then you also have the brightness, and then down below is where you can control that color temperature that I mentioned. This is where you've got your infrared lights. So again, this is infrared mode, which is your black and white night vision. You've got close or auto. Detection alarm, you can do a non-detection zone. You've got motion mark, where it'll actually put a box around what it's detecting. You've got your sensitivity for the detection, alarm delay, object size, and perimeter protection. That's where you've got the line crossing, the zone intrusion alert, and the zone loitering alert. Camera recording, you can toggle that on and off. You can do a motion recording schedule. You can adjust your post-recording duration, which is awesome. You can set your continuous recording schedule. So you've got a grid of all the hours of the day and the days of the week. Toggle on and off your push notifications. You can do rich notifications, allow critical alerts, device notification ringtones. You've got a schedule for notifications, and you've also got your push interval. You can do email alerts. There's your FTP settings. Here's your spotlight settings. You can actually turn that on and off. If you don't want the spotlight on for some reason, you can turn it off. You can also turn off the siren if you so desire. Linked devices, there's the time-lapse feature. So again, you can do all sorts of things here. If you go into it, you can do event, people, traffic, moving clouds, sunrise, sunset, construction, blooming, customized. Love, love, love that feature. File encryption on or off, advanced settings, installation method, log out, and delete. There you go. That's the main features of using this camera with the Reolink app. All right, let's talk my review. Pros and cons. What do I think of the Reolink Elite Floodlight Wi-Fi? Let's start with the pros. I think it's awesome that we've got 4K resolution. It's also very cool that we've got the 180-degree field of view, that ultra wide-angle view. Now this can also be a con, which we'll talk about in a second. Another pro is the floodlight itself. I talked about how most of the time when I'm using these floodlight cameras, the floodlights always suck and they're very weak. Not this one. These floodlights on this camera are hardcore and can really light it up. Now that can also be a con, which again, we're going to talk about in a second. The AI video search is a pro. I think it's pretty cool that you can just put in a search term and it'll bring it up, even a person's clothing color, which is awesome. I think this camera is priced incredibly reasonable for what it can do, and the build quality, it feels very well made. It's got a nice solid floodlight on it. The camera's good quality. Everything about it feels premium, so the price is a pro. Local storage, which is free storage, that's always a pro. And the fact that this camera has 24/7 recording, that's awesome. You got a lot of flexibility with this camera. You can use it with Reolink's NVR, their Home Hub, their Home Hub Pro. It's got RTSP. You can use it with a NAS. You just got a lot of different options here, and that's cool. And again, I can't say it enough. I absolutely love the time-lapse feature. That is just on every Reolink camera, and that is always going to be a pro. Lo and behold, this camera also has decent two-way audio. This is usually a huge sticking point for me, but go back to that demo I did. This one sounds pretty good. Not only does it sound good through the speaker where it's nice and clear and you can hear it from a pretty decent distance. Now with none of these cameras, you're not gonna be able to scream at somebody across your yard. That's just not gonna happen. But this one's got some good distance to it. In addition to that, the microphone's also very good where I can hear through the camera. All right, so let's move on to some cons. Now this floodlight, it's awesome that it's so bright, but that could be a con because here at this apartment, I was actually scared to death to use it because of my poor neighbors. I had neighbors above me, I got neighbors next to me, and that thing was so bright that it was just like intense. And so in a neighborhood, you could have that same problem. So keep in mind wherever you place this camera, you wanna be careful of that light because you don't wanna piss off your neighbors. Because if you do, obviously that's gonna be a con. Another con is with the night vision options, both the color and the black and white. The closer I got to this camera, the more washed out I was. And so it's hard to get facial details with somebody up close at night. And so for me, that's a con. Now, I'd also just mentioned that the 180 ultra wide angle of this camera is a pro. Well, I also find it to be a con sometimes, just because me personally, I'm not always a fan of these 180 cameras because of the weird aspect ratio. It's so wide, but sometimes that means you lose detail. So you really need to decide if you want more bang for your buck as far as the angle, or you want more bang for your buck as far as the detail. Because for detail, you might want a little narrower view, but for wide angle, like a parking lot or something like that, this could be perfect. Or at a house and you just have a huge backyard, or you're trying to watch a pool or something like that, that's great. My other con as far as the 180 angle is this is a dual lens camera. So right in the middle, you get a little stitching. And if you walk in the middle of this camera, like me personally, I could disappear. Now, there is a stitching option in the app, which I kind of showed you. So you can try to control that. But no matter how much I adjusted that, I still disappeared a little bit in the middle. And so it's just a con. I mean, a thief would have to be right in that exact spot to disappear, but it's still a thing. All right, there you go. Those are my pros and cons. Overall, this is a great camera with an awesome floodlight. The Floodlight Man, I was talking about how much they usually suck. This one doesn't suck. Almost too powerful for this setting in my apartment. But that's okay, because you can adjust it. You can set it to your liking or your neighbor's liking, because you don't want to piss anybody off. But if you're just looking for a camera packed with features and an awesome way to light up your yard while you're at it, this could be the camera for you. What do you think? When it comes to color night vision, do you like the spotlights, or do you like to go a little more robust with the floodlights? I'd love to know your thoughts. As far as floodlight cameras go, have you tried one that you were impressed with that maybe I've missed? Please let me know that too, because I'd love to review it and share it with you on the channel. I want to thank you very much for your support and for being here and for watching. I hope you know that it means the world to me. I want you to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until the next video, my friends, peace and love.